What up YouTube? This video is for educational purpose use only. Make sure to like and subscribe to 318 Louisiana Legend YouTube channel. Now let's take a look at Southside Baton Rouge legend Kevin Gates. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. One of the qualities of successful people is that they begin with the end. These are the kind of people who visualize what they want by knowing what is important to them and keeping their eye on the prize. Accordingly, this means a thought becomes a blueprint. That blueprint inevitably becomes a plan of action to achieve the ultimate end result. Conceivably, this might be the reason why Kevin Gates decided not to sign with Young Money, because he says that the label was too mainstream for him at this juncture in his rap career. Eventually, he signs with Atlantic Records, but isn't this a major record deal? Not so fast. Major record labels often require their artist to start from the bottom. This is just what he wanted, to start from the bottom. Kevin Gates wanted to give his fans a chance to grow with him. It's simple, and it's a considerable element of a winner, as the book proclaims. Of course, an admirable twist to this story is that Kevin Gates is an avid book reader, which perhaps is a testament to his broad lyricism. On February 5, 1986, Kevin Gilliard, aka Kevin Gates, was born and raised in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. When he was an infant, his mother married his stepfather and never knew his biological father until he was in the 8th grade. He grew up on St. Joseph's Street in the top side of Southside Baton Rouge. He met Big London on South 12th and Louisiana Street in Southside Baton Rouge. Since his stepfather treated him differently, he spent most of his time at his grandparents' house, which is where he built his studio. Kevin Gates grew up in the hard streets of the Bloody Sticks, which surrounded him with gangs, guns, and drugs. He passed out his own mixtapes in school and around his neighborhood, mostly because he loved music and to redirect his anger elsewhere. In 2008 he was incarcerated but spent the next 3 years releasing mixtapes. In 2009 he released the mixtape All In, and in 2010 also released Behind Enemy Lines. After his grandfather died, he fell back into a life of crime and was convicted of drug and firearm charges. Kevin was released in 2011 and he focused his attention on rapping. In 2011, Kevin Gates released I Don't Know What to Call It Volume 1. His single, Love You, has been viewed over 1 million times on YouTube. His single, Satellite, has also reached more than 1 million YouTube views. The Luca Brasi story was released in early 2013, around the time that he was signed to Atlantic Records under Young Money Entertainment's management. Spin magazine called the Luca Brasi story easily the best rap-related thing. The Luca Brasi story has been downloaded over 150,000 times on DatPiff. Kevin Gates has also been featured on mixtapes of Pusha T, Gutta Gutta, Juicy J, and Wiz Khalifa. His mixtape, Stranger Than Fiction, released in 2013, debuted at number 37 on the Billboard 200, which sold 8,500 copies in its first week. His song, Wildin', was ranked at number 40 by Rolling Stone's 100 Best Songs of 2013 list. In March of 2014, he released the mixtape By Any Means, and it debuted at number 17 on the Billboard 200 and sold 18,000 copies. Kevin Gates was featured in XXL magazine as part of the freshman class of 2014. When asked why he didn't sign with Young Money, this is what Kevin Gates told Sway in the Morning: because I was sitting around with individuals that started their own label, they started their own brands, and a lot of times you could be guilty by association in situations. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but that's a real mainstream label. And I like to touch the people. I could get 10,000 CDs of my own money and go pass them out in the street. I like the hand-to-hand, good evening, how you doing, I'm Kevin Gates, I'm trying to be your favorite rapper, if you don't like it throw it away. I'm Kevin Gates, I'm trying to be your favorite rapper, if you don't like it throw it away. I'm aggressive. And so if I want to exhibit that type of aggression, to my hustle cause I've always been hands-on, with everything that I did, why not start from the ground up and get it out the mud? And we looked at it like, if we want to successfully run a label, let's get with a label and find out the inner workings and the mechanics of a label. I'm in college right now. That's how I looked at it. I'm not signed to a label, I'm learning how to run a label successfully. The right way. Kevin Gates is hard to pigeonhole, which is part of the reason why he's so enigmatic. Sure, he shares some harrowing street tales, had a past life as a drug dealer, went to jail, we've heard these stories in hip-hop before. However, the way in which Kevin Gates approaches both his music and his public persona is so distinct, he's managed to quickly lay a blueprint for the current generation of artists clamoring out of street life and into rap music, NBA Youngboy, Moneybagg Yo, Polo G, and the list goes on. Whether it's his raw and unwavering sense of emotion, his clear desire to improve himself, mentally, spiritually, and lastly, as we'll discuss in the cover story, physically, or the simple fact that he's a gangster rapper who actually enjoys conversations, Gates is, in a word, different. He's also indifferent. Kevin has had a very rough life since he was a child. His mother is a Puerto Rican, while the dad is African American. His first arrest was in 1999 when he was only 13 years of age, charges being he was joyriding as a passenger. While he was still a little boy, Kevin Gates lost contact with his biological father. Years passed by, and when he was a teenager, he reconnected with his father. Gates lost his dad, who succumbed to complications from AIDS when he was only 14 years old. Kevin attended Baton Community College when he was 17 years old. Kevin Gates revealed to the world a side of him that he had suppressed for quite a long time, intensely personal things. When Mike Tyson's co-host, Henry Cejudo, posed the question, "What brought you into the rap game?" Kevin opened up about issues most people did not expect. He claimed to have been molested as a child. He did not disclose who exactly molested him, but he went on to state mechanisms he used to deal with the psychological torture. Kevin further went on to say how rap was like an escape from all that was happening around him because he had stated that he came from a very violent and pretty harsh environment filled with aggressiveness. After being molested, he felt vulnerable, making him take up every single kind of martial arts available. He did boxing and every other thing that he could lay his hands on to feel macho. In his own words, Kevin Gates says, "I wanted to be the toughest person on earth. Music was an escape for me." He further states how he did not have the strength to come out and admit to the world of that part of his life. Kevin joins several celebrities who have opened up about being molested as children, such as Lady Gaga, Oprah Winfrey, Evan Rachel Wood, Terry Crews, Ellen DeGeneres, and Tyler Perry. This is according to Ranker's Vote on Everything. Kevin stated on Mike Tyson's podcast that after he released a song on how he was molested, whenever he went to the gym, he would meet bodybuilders and other men who at times would hug him and break down, begin to open up about how they also suffered something of the same sort of close to what Kevin Gates experienced. This shows that many people are suffering from the psychological effects of being molested when they were children. This makes one wonder if the current generation of youngsters is also going through something like this or probably worse. Kevin has been involved in several legal issues. Just as he dived in the hip-hop world in 2007, he found himself behind bars from 2008 to 2011, where he spent 31 months. He earned his master's degree in psychology by taking up a prison program. He was later released because of good behavior, after which he went back to music. Kevin was yet again arrested for possession. He went on to say that he was innocent and only pleaded guilty, only to reduce his sentence. In his own words, he said that one could beat the charge, but one cannot beat the ride. If he claimed his innocence, he would have still been in jail, fighting the charges for 3 to 4 years. The most logical reason behind how Kevin Gates was found in so many criminal cases is that he wanted to hide his vulnerability. It all makes sense. Charges of having illegal firearms. He went on to say that he was innocent and only pleaded guilty, only to reduce his sentence. In his own words, he said that one could beat the charge, but one cannot beat the ride. If he claimed his innocence, he would have still been in jail, fighting the charges for 3 to 4 years. The most logical reason behind how Kevin Gates was found in so many criminal cases is that he wanted to hide his vulnerability. It all makes sense now. In 2007, Gates was signed up by a local label, Dead Game Records. He has done several collaborations with different musicians like Boosie Badazz and Webby during the mid-2000s. His music has majorly been inspired and based on true stories and events of his life. In the song, All or Nothing, which was released in 2008, Gates describes a lot of pain. He paused his music career in 2008 after he found himself in prison. Amazingly, he did not give up. While in prison, he took up a course that helped him reveal his past. After coming out of prison, Gates immediately went back to music, and in 2012, he released the album, Make 'Em Believe. This gave him a good start again, and Young Money Entertainment signed him up as he caught the attention of Lil Wayne's. Unfortunately, he didn't join them but started his own record label, which marked the beginning of his career. Gates has continued to share various media on his Instagram story while completely avoiding addressing any questions or comments that have arisen regarding the birthing clip that stunned his fans. He captioned the video, "The most beautiful thing on earth is the gift of life." The clip features a woman named Kendra Johnson, who reportedly shared her birthing experience. Gates shared the account's video that was posted, in celebration of Black Maternal Health Week, to his Instagram story, where his fans were clearly not expecting to run across something so graphic. The video shows the woman leaning on what appears to be a counter while she gives birth and her partner helps deliver the child. Numerous people started to distribute warnings on other social media networks like Twitter after unsuspectedly having seen the up-close and personal birthing video on Gates' story. Somebody tweeted, "Do not look at Kevin Gates' Instagram story next time I'ma mind my business," a person tweeted. Some who chose to stay away from Gates' story even chimed into the conversation. Someone simply tweeted, "Nah, not gonna look at Kevin Gates' story." Main people shared their reactions online about the video Gates shared after witnessing Twitch live streamer and YouTuber Kai Cenat react to seeing the clip on the rapper's story for the first time. In a live stream, Cenat was shown strolling through his cell phone before throwing it on the floor, screaming and running in and out of the camera's frame. In response to Cenat's recorded reaction to seeing Gates' story, other people, who felt that the controversy surrounding the story post was immature, joined the conversation. "People are way overreacting BC of that birthing video on Kevin Gates' story," someone said on Twitter. "I don't need to see Kai Cenat dropping his phone running around, screaming like an idiot." Another person who said others were over-exaggerating also explained that Kai Cenat started screaming like a 9-year-old girl. The debate surrounding the post that remained on his story for 24 hours even continued after the story post went away. After the day had passed and the post was no longer on Gates' page, someone made an announcement on Twitter. "Don't get curious and search, Kevin Gates' Instagram story May 7, 2023. While a lot of people recounted what they felt were overreactions to the rapper's story post, the process in the Kevin Gates IG story was beautiful. "You cannot be disgusted by that," a Twitter user said. "We have to be serious." Someone noted, "I fully expected something way worse than a woman giving birth on Kevin Gates' IG story." Kevin Gates overcame a lot of obstacles. Dead Game Records is the label that plenty of you may not know by name, but you definitely know by the music. They were the driving force behind Baton Rouge artist Kevin Gates and helped promote plenty of hits like Grinder, Head to Toes, and more. Well, they are back and this time they are working with artist Racked Up Ready. Eric Taylor A&R from Dead Game came through to talk about the new mixtape from Racked Up Ready called Street Laws, and the controversial intro, The Voice. The song features label CEO Travis and really goes deep on a situation that many of you may not know exist. Only time will tell if things will have the chance to be mended with the two powerhouses and what we can expect in the near future. Not even a month out of prison, and Percy Keith has already chosen his target for aggression relief. It probably doesn't surprise anybody that there is friction between the former BWA member and Kevin Gates. However, what is immensely surprising is the level of dopeness attributed to the recent slew of disses brought on by Percy Keith. We've all heard the Kevin Gates disses of yesteryear, from Alley Cat Therapy who accused Gates of stealing his song, to Go Yella who felt slighted by being froze out and forgotten, from the Young Troll beef where Kevin took shots at Troll during his infamous Gaff record on the Luca Brasi story followed by an onslaught of response diss records from Troll, all the way to Travis aka the voice of Dead Game Records and the overcast of shade brought on by that seemingly endless feud. This merely scratches the surface of all the issues going on with Kevin Gates involving other members of the rap hip-hop community, so with all of these people lining up to take a shot at the Breadwinners Association's most acclaimed artist, what makes Percy Keith's diss record any different? The answer is familiarity and talent. Now of course, The Voice had a sense of familiarity with Gates as well, being that for the beginning of Kevin's career Travis was his CEO and also the jump starter of Kevin's success, which is why their beef was so engaging. However, the conflict seemed to leave us with more questions than answers. Did Dead Game Records forge Gates' signature on that contract? Is Kevin Gates still paying Travis royalties for the success he enjoys courtesy of the legwork put in by Dead Game Records? Is the beef betwixt the two hip-hop hardheads simply a ruse designed to generate interest and boost sales? So many questions surrounding that conflict that may never be publicly answered. This is not to say that the conflict wasn't entertaining, because it was. However, it seems to me that a beef between cohorts is more engaging than a spat between employer-employee. Also, it's a notable point to make that while the Travis-Kevin beef was engaging, Travis is no rapper. He is a businessman and CEO that chose to address the mic in order to get the business clear. This played out much like the Mayweather-McGregor fight. It was entertaining, and while you can't help but respect Travis's mind, one couldn't help but figure that in the lyrical arena, Kevin Gates would end up prosperous. Meanwhile, Percy Keith is a lyricist with an axe to grind, as is obvious by the showing of his fangs in his newest series of diss records. That being said, let's take a look at the field of view of the Percy Keith-Kevin Gates feud. Within a week of Percy's release from prison, we caught a glimpse of Percy at Base Camp Studios via social media. It wasn't long before the song, Ain't No Boss, made its way online, swiftly followed by, Listen Close. In Ain't No Boss, we got the chance to hear Percy Keith flex his lyrical prowess while sending a handful of shots towards Gates. Within the song, Percy proceeds to point out that Gates lets a woman, Drecka, do his thinking for him, as if to infer that Kevin Gates simply does not have a mind of his own and is completely controlled by his wife, Drecka. He then proceeds to mention that Gates is in fact not from South Baton Rouge, and then hints at a situation in which Kevin was scared to catch a body. It doesn't seem that the entirety of the song is meant for Gates, however shots were indeed fired. You would think that would be enough, but Percy Keith almost immediately dropped a second song entitled, Listen Close, where Percy seems to be more aggressive in his addressing of his issues with Kevin Gates. If you weren't 100% positive about the subject matter of the song, the line, tried to hit you on both your phones, should be some indication, as it appears to be a clever mention to Kevin Gates, 2 phones, single. From there, Percy continues to berate Gates, stating that Gates is in fact jealous of Percy and that Gates is indeed made insecure by the presence of Percy Keith. He also mentions Gates' immaturity and the fact that he seems to carry on a plethora of identities, but was willing to look past Kevin's issues due to the fact that they're related. He even calls the contract that Gates provided to Percy a setup. One thing is certain, however, Kevin Gates thrives on controversy. He is not the type to simply take a diss record lying down. We are in fact talking about a platinum-selling artist who literally takes time out of his day to block anybody on social media who has anything to say that may be even remotely considered as negative. 2 weeks after the Percy Keith diss records dropped, Gates released a response record entitled, Therapy Shit. In usual Kevin Gates form, he begins the song talking about being in prison and then quickly switches to the braggadocio flow that we've all come to know and appreciate. While at first it seems like yet another song without a centralized point, at 1:42 of the nearly 3-minute record, Gates proceeds to get a little more personal about the situation at hand, making mention to Percy Keith's court case that landed him in prison. From there, Gates talks about how he bought his crew jewelry and makes mention to renting a black Maserati for one of his artists, and even says he put Percy in a gray Camaro. It appears in the response that Gates is trying to take some version of the high road while simultaneously spilling lyrical tea all over the place. Such is evident by him stating that he came to Percy's defense when Percy was accused of messing with children, and that the result was that Gates himself was accused of signing sex offenders. Meanwhile, he still states that Percy Keith is still his favorite rapper and would blow up any minute. Gates even goes so far as to ask where he hated on Percy and insists that this animosity between them is just Percy's defense mechanism due to the fact that he really misses Kevin Gates. To conclude the song, Gates makes the statement, Ain't nobody ever love you like me. The record seems to be Kevin's way of throwing shade while simultaneously stating that it's all love and the sole reason for their issues is because of misplaced feeling. Now to the masterpiece in the conflict between Kevin Gates and Percy Keith. It wasn't long after Gates' response record that Percy Keith dropped a third diss record aimed at Gates entitled, Dementia, but this one seems to really be the silver bullet to the beast. Percy starts the record immediately addressing the vehicle comments made by Gates, saying that money wasn't spent on the Maserati or Camaro, and that they were both in fact borrowed. Then Percy threw a low blow, making mention of the, I'm 'bout you know what too, speech that Gates made at a concert. Even goes so far as to say that Gates was involved in an affair with other people while in prison. From there, he tells Gates that he can't even come to this side of town and that Percy is the only reason Gates is still alive to this day. At that point, Percy brings mention to the feud between Gates and Goyella, stating that Gates is only signing rappers that he does not want to prosper. Percy continues to bring up Kevin's lack of loyalty, mentioning the former photographer of Gates that goes by the name of Cooley. At that point, Percy Keith continues by destroying Kevin Gates' business acumen by stating that he never received a cent from Gates regarding one of the more popular singles the two of them dropped on the Luca Brasi story. Percy then proceeds to tell the world that Gates is still paying Travis of Dead Game Records, even though Gates would have you believe he is a boss and owes nobody for his success. Pick a side, is the advice to Gates given by Percy Keith after stating that Kevin Gates continues to go back and forth on whether he is really from Baton Rouge or New Orleans. Being a Baton Rouge native and witnessing the murder of Alton Sterling and also living through the Great Flood, my personal favorite two lines come when Percy Keith proceeds to call Kevin Gates and Uncle Tom, and tells him that Black Lives Matter, and then asks Gates, how your city flood, you tell us build an ark. Punchline after punchline, story after story, Percy Keith doesn't take a break for 3 minutes, continuously disfiguring the image Kevin Gates has worked so hard to build up for himself. If we are making comparisons here, Percy Keith in this situation is like Pusha T versus Kevin Gates' Drake. Percy has the talent, the animosity, and the real-life stories all lined up to take aim and sink the Kevin Gates ship. Even fans of Kevin Gates are calling his response record to Percy weak, which only serves to pour salt in the wound when Percy Keith dropped his third, and in my opinion, most vicious diss record against Gates. How will this all work out? Will Kevin Gates directly address Percy Keith in a second response record, or will he dance around the subject the same way he did with Travis? Will Gates just take the L and blow the beef off entirely? What could Percy Keith possibly have left to say about Kevin Gates should he need to drop another response record? Only time will tell, but at the moment, this sure has served to be an incredibly interesting turn of events to say the least. Several months after a photo surfaced of a rapper flashing handfuls of $100 bills inside Elaine Hunt Correctional Center while visiting the facility, rapper Kevin Gates has been banned from all state corrections institutions and 2 corrections officers have been disciplined. The actions follow a Department of Public Safety and Corrections investigation into a visit that Gates, whose real name is Kevin Gilliard, was purportedly making to his father at Elaine Hunt in July. Gates posted a series of photos tagging the facility as his location on his Instagram page, one of which showed him sitting with a group of inmates as he fanned out dozens of $100 bills. I went up to the prison today to visit #Lee Lucas #C Murder #Mac #Big Marlo and #Cornbread. Everybody in these photos have been gone over 20 years, Gates wrote in his Instagram post. Ken Pastoric, a spokesman for the State Corrections Department, said when the photograph surfaced that it was against policy for any visitors to bring more than $300 into the prison. A doc report dated July 24, 2019, found that Deputy Warden Perry Stagg and Major Jason Lindsay, both of whom oversaw Gates' visit, deviated from standard institutional policies, resulting in multiple rule violations. The report says Stagg met Gates when he arrived at the facility and Lindsay supervised the visit when the pictures were taken. WBRZ initially reported the disciplinary action for the 2 officers. In addition to bypassing body scanners, Gates was allowed to drive his car through the front gates without being searched, investigators found. And while Stagg was escorting him, Gates avoided the visiting office and never had to sign the visitor's log acknowledging he understood facility rules. The report also says Gates skipped multiple procedural steps implemented by the doc. Though he claimed he was visiting his father, the doc investigation found Gates has no verified family relationship with any inmate at the facility. Furthermore, Gates, who was arrested for felon in possession of a firearm in 2017, did not submit to a criminal history screening prior to his visit. With Gates' visitor information never received or recorded, he was allowed to visit the facility despite having these are policies that have been in place. They're not policies that we just made up today because this happened, Pastoric said. These individuals understand the policies and how they operate, and how they need to be enforced. Through the investigation, it was determined the policies were not followed. Felony charges in the last 5 years. These are policies that have been in place. They're not policies that we just made up today because this happened, Pastoric said. These individuals understand the policies and how they operate, and how they need to be enforced. Through the investigation, it was determined the policies were not followed. Warden Tim Hooper ended Stagg's detail as Deputy Warden of Elaine Hunt Correctional Center following the investigation, Pastoric said. He has been reassigned to his previous post as an assistant warden at Angola, a lower position on the prison operations organizational chart that includes a pay cut. Major Jason Lindsay also received a letter of counseling, Pastoric said, and additional training has been provided to staff regarding visitation policies. The dock investigator recommended a criminal complaint against Gates be presented to the Iberville Parish District Attorney's Office for introduction of contraband into a penal institution, though he said in the report that a prosecution is unlikely because there was no evidence of contraband because the money in the photo was never seized. Kevin Gates appears to ignite a beef with NBA YoungBoy on Instagram Live. Rapper Kevin Gates may have just been the latest person to experience the negative yet powerful effects of alcohol when he decided to speak ill of NBA YoungBoy while being intoxicated. Gates hopped onto Instagram to hurl insults and a possible threat at YoungBoy and his family. Gates' wife Drecka tried to derail what he was saying when she attempted to snatch his phone on numerous occasions. Sadly, there isn't much that she could have done since she was the one driving the car they were traveling in. It takes a man to stand over kids, boy. I might can't get you but I'ma get your mama, Gates said while on the IG Live. Fans in the comment section were very much confused about who the diss was aimed at, while others were confident it was the 21-year-old father of 5. Along with hailing from the same city, both Kevin and YB share the same naming initials KG, Kevin Gilliard, Kevin Gates and Kentrell Deshaun Gowden, NBA YoungBoy. That is not the most intimate piece of detail though, as Kevin Gates got NBA YoungBoy's face tattooed to his body a few years ago. He is young, and I saw a lot of myself in him, and you know I'm like yeah. I love him, so I put him under my wings, he explained in 2019 after being labeled a homosexual for the act. It's unclear what went wrong between both camps this time around. Some have speculated that things never quite settled after NBA YoungBoy's artiste Quando Rondo dissed Gates while on a stage in 2018, which came as a result of Gates promoting music for the opposition. Baton Rouge rapper Florida Dusa releases his triumphant new track, Bad Man, with platinum-selling rapper Kevin Gates. Produced by Ghost Rage and Chats, the song opens with blaring horns as the Louisiana Titans seamlessly trade bars over a charging, trap-heavy instrumental. A unique voice emerging from the booming Baton Rouge rap scene, FL Dusa is the latest artist to sign to outspoken rapper and childhood friend Kevin Gates. L. Dusa shared his Respect My Mind mixtape in early 2022, which included songs such as Ashes, Big Dog, and Love Nobody. His breakout track, Dear God, featuring Gates currently boasts over 16 million cumulative streams across digital platforms and debuted at number 5 on the Billboard Rap Digital Song Sales Chart and the R&B Hip Hop Digital Song Sales Chart, simultaneously. Now, signed to Kevin Gates' Breadwinners Association imprint, FL Dusa is poised to propel to viral triumph in 2022. Baton Rouge has been a hot spot for talent over the years, with legendary figures emerging as champions for the city on a global stage. Kevin Gates, of course, is one of the most prominent figures to come out of BR over the years. The BWA imprint that he and his wife Drecka run have been introducing some incredible talent, and it continues to expand. L. Dusa, a native from South Baton Rouge, is preparing for his breakout moment under the BWA umbrella. The rapper has been pushing out some heavy singles this year, including Dying Inside and the Fredo Bang-assisted Sad Song. Now, he's back alongside the Breadwinners Association head honcho for his new single, Dusa. He and Kevin Gates swap bars with their chests puffed over smooth piano progressions and rattling 808s. That's the reason why Kevin Gates and NBA YoungBoy will never ever do music again. It's deeper than rap. Kevin Gates claims everything's cool with fellow Louisiana rapper Boosie now, but he has a warning shot to anyone else thinking about doing him dirty. Kevin now claims he doesn't have problems with anyone, but also told Rack he wouldn't hesitate to do a life sentence if anyone tests him. Boosie and Kevin Gates will never ever do music again due to Kevin Gates' affiliations with Nussie and Pig and Big Marquise, and due to Boosie affiliations with Lil Finn. Lil Finn allegedly step on Kevin Gates' homie Donald Ely aka D-Dub. Police have made yet another arrest in connection with a deadly shooting from June that is believed to have been motivated by a 2008 deadly shooting that was determined to be a justified killing. The Baton Rouge Police Department reported John Dunbar, 24, of Baton Rouge, was taken into custody Wednesday night in the shooting death of Donald Ely, 37, who was gunned down on East Polk Street near Thomas H. Delpit Drive on June 29. According to officials, he and Willie Dunbar are the suspected triggermen. According to an arrest warrant, Ely shot and killed Henry Sterling, 18, on December 8, 2008 during a fight. It added investigators determined Ely shot Sterling in self-defense, so he was not charged. The alleged beef is real between the two camps. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe to 318 Louisiana Legend YouTube channel.